The Duskmourn pre-release is just around the corner. Kicking off this weekend, what should you expect and how should you build your pre-release deck? Let me fill you in. Good morning, Magic. I'm Gavin Verhey from Wizards of the Coast. And starting on September 20th, you'll be able to play in pre-release events for Duskmourn at your local game store. If you've never played a pre-release before, it's one of my favorite Magic events. Everybody is opening up the cards in the set for the first time, and it really feels like one big celebration. Whether you're a Magic expert or brand new recruit, they're a blast and for everybody. So reach out to your local game store, find out the details of their pre-release, and pre-register. But what can you expect to play at a pre-release? When you sit down, you'll be handed a pre-release pack to build a deck with during the event. What's inside? Let me open one and show you. Alright, so here is a Duskmourn House of Horror pre-release pack. You'll get one of these at the pre-release. Let's open it up and show you exactly what you get inside. First of all, love these little moths on the side, by the way. Just a little touch, kind of pointing right into Duskmourn. And it also has a fun little message for you here. Welcome to your new forever home. Aw, how nice. What could possibly go wrong? Well, you open it up, and inside you get a little bit of Valgavoth right there. There's also some punch-out counters here, I'll note. So you can actually punch these out and use them as like +1/+1 counters or stun counters, whatever else might come up in your games. And then you even have some punch-out little rooms here at the top where you can punch these out to show locked rooms if you want, which is kind of cool. I'll be able to demonstrate that in the game and have a visual. But what we really gonna care about is what's inside this box right here. This little deck box, which you're gonna get to, of course, use all pre-release, will contain a few things. First of all, you've got your spin down D20 right here with a set symbol right there that counts all the way down from 19 to 1 and then hopefully not 0. You've got this little insert right here, which on one side gives you some good deck building tips. I'm gonna cover these today, so don't worry about freeze framing too much. And on the other side has just some fun facts about both Duskmourn and how rooms work. So if you have any questions about the room mechanic, it can be answered for you right here. You've got this cool Valgavoth insert right there that will help divide your main deck and sideboard. And then you've got this, which gives you a pre-release from, ooh, nice, Valgavoth Slayer. That's a nice one to get. It's got, it could be a rare or mythic rare from the set. It's got the little pre-release stamp right there. And then inside, there's also an arena code card. And I'll just crack this guy open for you right here. There's this arena code card. So you get your pre-release card. You get this little punch-out counter thing with some locked counters as well as some more punch-outs. And you get your arena code card right here, which is totally awesome. Now, the arena code card this time around is good for 6 Duskmourn boosters, so get that on arena. But the core of what you're going to care about are these 6 booster packs right here. You're going to open these and use these plus your pre-release promo to build your pre-release deck. Now, if you're interested in seeing me build a pre-release deck from start to finish, be sure to subscribe and come back tomorrow as I do just that, from literally cracking open the packs all the way through the final lands I would use. But for some big pre-release basics, let's get back to the video. That's what you can expect in a pre-release pack. And once again, be sure to subscribe and then tune back in tomorrow for the sealed deck build. You'll get to watch me build a deck start to finish. But for now, let's cover some of what you want to be looking for in those packs and good deck building tips. You'll be building a 40 card deck and picking out about 23 creatures and spells to play. You can add as many basic lands as you want. The store will have them on hand, and usually you want about 17 total lands. To whittle it down, you're going to want to hone in on 2 colors. You can sometimes splash a third by playing a couple strong cards for later in the game and a few lands of those colors, but I'd really stick to 2 if you can. The cards I often look for in sealed deck the most are removal spells that can eliminate your opponent's creatures, evasion creatures with abilities like flying, and strong cards and bomb rares. I sort my cards by color and look through them to see how the colors stack up. Once you start narrowing the colors down, you'll want to check in on your mana curve. This is trying to make sure you have cards to play at all phases of the game. If everything is cheap to cast, you'll run out of things to do and get outclassed in the late game. But if everything is expensive to cast, you'll have nothing to do early. You want a good mix, a curve. A well-built pre-release deck usually has a solid distribution of at least 4 2-mana creatures, 4 3-mana creatures, 3 4-mana creatures, and at least 2 creatures at 5 or more mana. You can go higher on each of those as long as you aren't dropping lower anywhere else. Now, here's a bit that a lot of people don't know, but will be a huge help to your deck building. As you're sorting your cards by mana curve, you'll want to separate your creatures and other cards you're going to play on curve and your non-creatures. For example, you'll play Innocuous Rat on turn 2, but it's unlikely you're going to play Given to Violence on turn 2, so they should be in different stacks. If you count Given to Violence as a 2-drop, that's going to be very misleading when you're looking at your mana curve. So what I do is make a curve of cards I'm going to play on that turn, mostly creatures, but also sometimes artifacts and enchantments on top, and then below I put the spells I won't be playing on that turn. Try it out, it can make a huge difference. Okay, so you have an idea of what to look for and how to lay it out. But how do you know what you want to find in picking your colors? Well, one thing we build into our sets are 10 two-color combinations, each with its own theme. You don't have to play that strategy if you're in that color pair, but it's a good direction to keep your eye out for as you build your deck. Let's break down what all 10 are. We'll kick things off with blue-white, which here is something we call Eerie Midrange. The new Eerie mechanic wants you to play enchantments and unlock rooms, and so in this deck, you want to curve out with creatures and then play enchantments to get all their bonuses. Depending on the cards you have, you might end up more aggressive, like if you get some optimistic scavengers, but the general gist is to have a healthy mix of Eerie cards and enchantments to back them up. When it comes to gold uncommons, what we call signposts, both Gremlin Tamer and Inquisitive Glimmer are great pickups for this deck and point you exactly toward what you should be doing. While blue-white is more attacky, with blue-black we have Eerie Control. You use those blue cards a bit more defensively here, and then back it up with black removal and cards like Dashing Bloodsucker that can hold the ground and then turn the corner when you've stabilized and are ready to go on the aggressive. The signpost uncommons here point toward that longer game, with both Fear of Infinity, which just won't go away, and Skull Snap Nuisance, which has 4 toughness and keeps giving you a bit of card selection. In a spooky horror set like this one, it makes a lot of sense to use a popular red-black archetype here, Sacrifice. You'll sacrifice not just creatures here, but also enchantments. It's a nice way to use your rooms. Who needs to unlock the other side? Just throw it away to kill off their creature with something like Final Vengeance. Sawblade Skin Ripper and Disturbing Mirth will both set you down the right path here, letting you sacrifice creatures for fun and profit. That Skin Ripper really hits hard. Delirium is back and fits right into red-green with Delirium Midrange. You want to get 4 card types into your graveyard, and while you can use some self-mill, it's often easier to just attack with enchantment and artifact creatures. As they trade off, that will add 2 types into your graveyard. Between that and Manifesting Dread putting cards in your graveyard, you'll hit Delirium and power up your cards, like Powerhouse Uncommons Wildfire Wickerfolk and Beastie Beatdown. Those cards figuratively, and in the case of the Beatdown, quite literally, pack a punch. If you want to just try and survive the horrors of Duskmourn, you'll want to be green-white, with green-white survival. The survivors of this world get better if they're tapped in your second main phase, so they need to survive combat or become tapped some other way. Cards like Hardened Escort just make sure an attacker is guaranteed to survive combat so you can get that trigger, and even simple combat tricks here are great for a way to get in safely. But you can also team up with the horrors if needed and use cards like Fear of Immobility to tap your own creatures and get the survival bonuses. Things can really snowball once you get a few survival triggers. Shrewd Storyteller is a great example of that. Growing your creatures, and Baseball Bat lets you not only get their creatures out of the way so yours can survive, but also tap your own creatures if needed to get their survival triggers the same turn you play them. Quite a multi-purpose bat. White-black is a really fun one that feels right at home here, Reanimator. You don't see this one in Limited every day, but between some self-mill and discard, you can drop some larger creatures into the graveyard and then bring them back to life with even the common reanimation spell, Emerge from the Cocoon. It's a blast to just drop a huge creature onto the battlefield early, and a great one to bring back is the mighty Shroud Stomper, who is like a mini Titan at uncommon. The other signpost is Rite of the Moth, which gives shades of Unburial Rites. As a reanimation spell, you can use twice. Okay. It's a spooky set, so what else could black-green be but graveyard? This time around, you'll be grindy Delirium though, wanting the game to go long as you stalk your graveyard and take full advantage of everything there, while turning on all of your Delirium effects in the process. As the game goes longer, you will find ways to get more powerful, and if things go really well, maybe you can even use Say Its Name to find Altenac. More realistically though, you'll just want to find the signpost uncommons, Brood Spinner and Drag to the Roots for a couple nice graveyard rewards. Blue-red is a really unique one here just for Duskmourn with rooms. You can use some of those Eerie cards in blue to good effect here, but you'll also want to fill your deck with rooms and have access to a ton of different effects on them. You'll get to carefully pick which rooms to enter and then win to slowly topple your opponent. A handful of cards care about rooms in particular, like the 2 signposts, Intruding Soul Rager and Smoky Lounge with Misty Salon. These are signs you should be trying to go rooms. Red-white just wants to play. with 2 or less power aggro. Many of them are toys as well, making for a fun creative theme, but you'll also find tokens and just, well, plenty of creatures that fit the 2 power or less bill. Attack, 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 and keep the small creatures coming. The Signpost Arabella will reward you big time, and if you need a bunch of small powered creatures, Midnight Mayhem will give you 3 fresh ones. Okay, we've made it to green-blue. Is it ramp this time around? No! What? Yes, it's something new and cool, Manifest Dread. You'll want to try and Manifest Dread creatures and then get some bonuses for having face down permanents or turning them face up. I also really enjoy some fun self-bounce, like with Fear of Isolation, letting you pick up a spell you might have Manifest Dreaded back into your hand. Oblivious Bookworm and Growing Dread are 2 great signposts here that will send you on your Manifest Dread path. Those are all 10 archetypes. Which do you most hope to open at the pre-release? Let me know in the comments below. And if things go well, hopefully you'll get the chance to play it. I'll be back tomorrow with that sealed deck build to do a little more survival demonstration. But until then, have fun preparing to survive your pre-release. You got this.
Decks have new cards, reprints, and also something we haven't seen in a while, Archenemy. Each deck features a mix of 10 schemes, such as Time Bends to My Will, and even something Commander focused like My Champion Stands Supreme. This is a fun way to play Commander like you probably never have before. 3 heroes take on 1 villain,